welcome.
Hey, Mayor's Update, Tuesday night.
Yeah.
It seems like the last 7 nights have been something.
Going.
Anything. You and I did, of course, the 7th game of the Stanley Cup last
Epic.
night. We didn't play in it.
No.
We were just there watching.
Felt like it, though. I was
But
edge
we
of my
put a
seat.
number of citizens of St. Thomas in the Railway Museum watching the game with us. That was great.
It's just the view of the game with the trains along the side
great.
in the background.
There's some great pictures of that. So
Oh.
right, but it was in maybe under 24 hours. A very small, mighty group of people put this together again. A public viewing party of how things can work in St. Thomas.
It's when a good group of people comes together. We like to do things.
Yeah.
And I heard Councillor Clark, message you, and you were like, absolutely, let's do this.
Yeah, he said, hey, could we do this? Absolutely. And then, where'd Gary go? No, no offense, Councillor Clark. We're just teasing. But then he was there last night. We had a great time.
You brought Wendy's on as a sponsor, so thank you for that. Doing that.
Look, we'll need a couple bucks to get this thing going, so I'll offer some bucks. Let's go.
Yeah.
Right. What else is holding us up?
And then Sean, when he ordered a big screen, with a big blow, it was a 21-foot
now we have
screen.
One.
Now the city's got a screen.
Right. We're thinking for our Christmas.
100%.
Light up Talbot Street. We'll have a big screen out there now. I know, playing Die Hard or something.
Yes, a real Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's debatable depending who you are, but
no, it's true. I always say it is. It's on
a
Christmas time. It's a Christmas movie.
So last night, I mean, it was very sad to not see a Canadian team take it.
I get all that, and I felt bad about that part, but I felt great about the community coming together and doing this. And Opus Pretzels came last night with us.
Phenomenal pretzels.
Right? And the Railway Museum did all they could do to make us all feel welcome.
Such a great crew.
If you've not been, and I keep running it, we saw it again last night. We had people come to watch hockey at the Railway Museum that had never been in the Railway Museum, and they live in St. Thomas. Come to peek in a door one day and see all of the neat things that there is there too, because we're working on helping save that museum and the lands around it.
And they do amazing kids events too. So if you have kids, they put on so many different events. They're doing a paint night at Queso Station right now. They've also got these trains, like those the wooden train sets.
Oh yes,
They're just like the best. If I was a kid, even as an adult,
but as a kid, you get to sit there and there's full size cabooses that you can climb up, and engines and
a redone car, as well. So it's
beautiful.
There's so many great things there.
All right, well, that was a great last night, but boy, both of us had a really busy week. I think I was in the Railway Museum 4 times last week for the 70th anniversary of the Doug Terry Company. And of course, we should recognize
what a celebration.
That was great.
Yeah.
The groundbreaking for Element 5, right?
Another amazing event. Was it 325,000 square feet or something like that?
Of new building to build cross-laminated timbers and glued timbers in order to do construction of housing across the world. But truly,
if you think about the jobs,
right here out of St. Thomas,
that's going to bring
another couple hundred more jobs.
Yeah. And well-paying, great work environment. You're smelling fresh lumber all the time.
No, sod. You know how? I've been known to sniff a 2x4.
I love it.
That's right.
I've done some woodworking, and it's one of my favorite things is the smells of the different woods.
So, what else? I did a bit of the Youth for Christ golf tournament on Saturday.
Yes,
and it was on Friday with Rick from Caps Off, and it was so hot. Oh, I was drenched, and I said, I got to go to this groundbreaking. So, I'm carrying around clothes, but I got to deke into a Tim Hortons, and I mean exchange 100% of your clothes for dry clothes, and then go out and be the mayor and make a speech. So it's
I know it's funny when you've got to carry 3 different sets of clothes in this kind of weather just to be able to make it and not be presentable when you arrive.
Well, in the restaurant business, I used to always, when it was this warm out, judge how warm it was by how many shirt days it was. So that was a 3-shirt day. It's really, we were busy. Right?
So this is the thing, is like I've haven't had time to do that much laundry lately. So I got down to, but I was doing some shoots last week, and some of the different clients, they gave me their shirts, business shirts, right? And so then it was great because then I'd have to do laundry. I could just pull on.
Right. Right.
this person's shirt or that person's shirt. So
I will say there's now enough coffee cups in my house for me to go a long time before, because, Joe, have a coffee cup. Well, I go into, and Stephanie goes, not another water bottle.
Jess doesn't let me.
Another, right?
Yeah, she doesn't let me get away with that anymore. But back when I was a bachelor,
it was
I just
the things we're given at events are nice.
Mm-hmm.
So perfect.
Yeah.
What else do we got? We got Canada Day coming up on Monday night at One Password Park.
Yeah.
Starting, I think, 4:00 is when, anything will happen there. There's a couple of great restaurateurs.
Anything.
Plus, right? I mean, you can go early and sit there, I suppose. But we're talking about going from 4 till 10 o'clock fireworks, likely 9:45, 10 o'clock fireworks. Mm-hmm. But lots of stuff happening there.
Yeah, and it's
easy parking.
Who's doing the fireworks?
Kinsmen always help us so much in this community, and so please, if you want to help out the Kinsmen and you are a fireworks person, please go to their truck at the Gearlings store and buy your fireworks from them.
Oh, we got a question from Adam Montgomery. Joe, would you rather sniff a 2x4 or a Wendy's Dave's double?
Obviously the double.
The double, yeah.
But if I could have a 2x4, no. I just love the smell of fresh lumber. I'm terribly not handy. And
really?
Oh, no, I'm not handy. My kids used to run screaming away if I got power tools out. So I've learned I can hire the absolute best to do each job.
Yeah.
But I'm terrible at doing them myself. So I don't even try anymore.
It's all about delegation.
Well, it's all about recognizing your own faults. I can speak well. I can make people laugh, but I can't fix anything electrical or plumbing or anything. So thank you. I'd rather smell the double though.
The double, yeah, it's a great burger. I've been thinking about all the different burgers. I've been having a lot of burgers lately because there's a burger ladder that's being run.
Oh, I saw that
on Adam Montgomery's site.
Well, and I saw a couple, and I went, "Well, those two are among the best, and they're against each other early." And I went, "How do you pick
one right now?"
Right? Who is it?
Greek and Go,
and the backyard
burgers.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's like two of the best in the city.
I know burgers, and so I'm pretty. I have an opinion of the other burger places in town.
You don't say.
Well, yes, I do. I have a great opinion of it all.
Yeah, I think it's a close one, but I think Greek and Go, that might be my personal favorite. It's a juicy burger.
And it is such a unique place. And we remember when Shabazz used to be there too, right? But it's inside a gas station convenience store, but it's busy. Boy, every time I go in, there's
the
a
quality
lot of
the
people
food
on the Greek to Go side, right?
So delicious. So if you're the St. Thomas Honest Food Review site, that's where you can find that.
Well, that's not far from One Password Park, so maybe go get yourself a couple of burgers there too. But don't think the Optimist and Kinsman won't sell you a burger at the park that day too, because they will.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they just finished a pizza ladder as well,
I saw that, and
Pizza Works won,
right? And boy, it went through some really close votes. One vote, right?
So, it's so interesting.
See, we pay attention to what's going on in our community, specifically what's happening on the food side.
100%. Right? I love the food.
Right.
And if you look at my Facebook, the Establish Media Facebook page, you can tell my viewers also
enjoy. I tend to share good talk about food. So
talk about tacos.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh man!
What else we got going on, or did we do this last week? We've got, of course, always the market. There'll be a Wednesday market tomorrow night. There'll be a Saturday market on the holiday long weekend. I'm calling it the holiday long weekend because I guess it is, with Monday being Canada Day.
There was an amazing Business After 5 event on last Wednesday at Royal
Containers. I did not make it. I
was stuck in traffic on the way back from Toronto.
Well, this is what's happening more in our lives. Your life and my life is there's 14 events in a day that can hold 10.
Yeah.
So 4 of them are not going to get us.
And I was hired to go do an event in Toronto. So I drove up and I left at 4 a.m. And then I almost made it out. And then I got caught in Milton.
And then you're stuck there
for an hour.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the event you did today. I was at today.
My goodness. So, one of the greatest events I've ever live streamed was the one tonight there. Now, it's 6 hours. I know there's a lot of people come on here and they say, what are you guys doing about the homelessness issues in St. Thomas? Well, there's 6 hours, and it has all the detail
everything we do
ever want to know about the amazing things that are happening in St. Thomas in regards to how we're helping people that are experiencing homelessness through our community initiatives.
Let's set this up a little bit. Paul Jenkins from the Chamber of Commerce was asked by a couple of other Chamber of Commerce. We hear St. Thomas is really working hard on homelessness.
Yeah.
Right? Why don't you hold kind of a seminar for us? And so this room was full of people from around Ontario from a Chamber of Commerce point of view. It was called Business Handles Social Issues or something, whatever.
Social issues or business issues, I believe.
And they are. And we talked a lot about that today too. But this was more us sharing what St. Thomas has done in the last 4 years, I guess, towards eradication of homelessness and how far we are along the way compared to many other communities. But we're not doing it to shame or to. This is to talk about how we said it was an important piece. This council and this and our social services and housing people. So we said let's attack it. Our police chief, and the police chief spoke today. The YWCA talked about the youth protocol and what they're doing with Tiny Hope. Karen Vecchio was there this morning too, and Rob had a message too about what the province and the feds are doing to help us with these things. It was really a unique day, and the side conversations with others, right?
Just incredible, right? And for people, a large portion of it after our chief of police Mark talked. There was a big question period. It was maybe like half an hour of questions from the different representatives asking about the different initiatives that they're putting into place, specifically the MOST team, and how well they're working in our community. Right. And it's like obviously there are issues because some people are like, are you still having issues? Yeah,
of course they are. But we wanted our police to take care of crime. We wanted our police to take care of policing matters. So we put a community force in for the downtown to deal with addictions and mental health and some of the other things that our homeless issues were causing. And it's been a godsend. Our business owners downtown say this has never been better. And we have friends. They stop in and say hi to us. And I know Brian was there from the inn also, and talked about what we did from a barrier-free or less barrier emergency shelter.
And talking about practical applications for things. You're saying, there was a system in place where like someone there would be an incident and the person would be banned for a very long time, or there'd be an altercation between two residents of the inn, and then the one person or both would be banned for a super long time, but then they're hanging out next to the inn.
That's not helping us with homeless. Right? Yeah. It's not helping us solve that problem. So he's put some some barriers and put some common sense in place that we can separate people within the building for issues inside the building too. And it's been really working well for us.
Yeah. Brett Longfield's asking about what was discussed about Tiny Hope today. And a lot of that was about how that will help the different people that need affordable housing in our community. I'm not going to go too much into it just because of our timeline here. And it's all been recorded. Right. So you can go onto Established Media, go to the video section, and then you can watch the whole section.
You'll see progress starting on Tiny Hope even this week. So
they were saying ground is breaking on Friday.
Yeah. So we're moving forward. And because it is Tiny Hope, much of this building will happen fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it.
They're going to blitz the first one, and then they've got a whole bunch more they're going to put together.
Yep.
Brett's also asking, speaking of being stuck in traffic, Grayden, how will a sprawling St. Thomas be affected by inevitably increasing traffic at its doubles in population by 2051?
Well, first of all, we won't quite double, but thank you. We will have significant growth. But thanks for the segue, because tomorrow night at this time, at 7:00, you've got your chance to give your input at the Memorial Arena on our future-looking transportation plan, which is road design, transit design, trails. It's all things transportation in our community, and especially road design. Now, we've already accepted a strategic plan from us, and we've already started looking forward as to what roads will need significant design changes in order to meet that type of population growth. I know I've said on here before that smart growth includes planning ahead by years of the amount of traffic a certain road may take. Now, you see the work we're doing on Highbury right now.
Yeah.
That would have been a real bottleneck coming up. It's going to be 5 lanes wide in an area that's going to be very busy. There's many other streets in our community, certainly arterial, that we'll have to look at as to what needs to be made bigger. What can we, like the old overpasses over the railway at Burwell and Talbot, we're going to get rid of those. There's a number of things already planned, but we need your input as to what do you think a future-looking St. Thomas looks like. Please head to the Memorial Arena tomorrow night. I think it's 7 till 10, 7 till 9, and give your input. And there'll be a spot afterwards for us to do some online thinking on that too.
And I'm a big fan of roundabouts. So
too.
If they stop that congestion as well as the accidents that happen at the 4-way stops or the 2-way stops, then 100%.
Oh, and I was talking to someone today about the number of accidents at Dalewood and Ron McNeil line. Now, that's not in the city of St. Thomas, but he brought it to my attention, and I said it's almost the perfect spot for there to be a roundabout.
100%.
Because we've got to and maybe change the speed on Ron McNeil too, but that's another question.
Well, it's great because they're also kind of traffic calming at the same time.
Right.
So you've got people that are just busting it along.
Right.
Ron
you
McNeil
can't go real fast. Right. And I keep saying there's been no fatal actions in a roundabout because the worst you can do is rub door handles with somebody, I suppose. Right. So it is for those of you that haven't also thought of the safety part, but the environmental side of them is also great in the sense you're not coming to a stop-start situation each and every time you're going, but you're not super speeding through it, but you're maintaining your direction going forward.
Yeah. We got a little segue. I'm going to go into the roundabouts, and then we're going to segue into food trucks. All right. So Adam Montgomery's saying, I like roundabouts, but I do feel like some need to slow up before entering. So many entering at great speeds. Absolutely agree.
Absolutely.
When I was driving in Australia, they have a much better system because they've had them for longer. So they figured it out. Like right now where you kind of jump in, kind of willy-nilly, like we do in Canada, they will honk at you. Because I did a little bit of that in Australia, and there were some pretty
wasn't your turn, they think.
Firm honks at me about, a little too risky. So I learned my lesson.
We'll need to learn that one too. Right?
Yeah. Food trucks in parks, and will there be food trucks during Canada Day at One Password?
I don't know if they will be or not. That's up to them because they're certainly allowed there. But with what the Icebox is doing with the concession at One Password, we know they'll have a very good night, and it is an event. So we know the Kinsman, the Optimist food trucks or food tents will be out. So I can't answer the question. I think it's up to food trucks, but it'll be a tough parking situation for any of them because it's a pretty busy place that evening.
Brett Longfield says the transportation master plan is happening now from 4 to 7:30 p.m.
I thought it was Wednesday.
Is there another one?
Is it tonight?
It might be tonight.
Maybe it is tonight. I know. Here I am thinking it's not something I'm attending. So
we've been so busy that things get a little bit blurry on exactly what day.
What day of the week is it, Grayden?
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Hey, if you're right, you got time to get there. 4 minutes from now it starts if it's tonight.
Well, no, it would end at 7:30.
Okay.
So
okay.
I mean, I did post it, but I did post it on Establish at 4.
Yeah.
So
there you go. That's it.
Is that right there?
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't read what you got. So.
Yeah. So it is tonight, 4 to 7:30 p.m.
Yep. Okay. Here I was thinking it was tomorrow. I would have missed it, but I wasn't going. So
I think you've got a pretty good idea of what you want.
These are public meetings.
But this is about what? Yeah.
Yeah. But we kind of say, hey, Mayor, don't go. Because then the conversation wants to be directed at me, and I need it to go to the people doing the consultation. So, Brett, thank you for telling us that it is tonight. So you still got a little time to head over there. And if you haven't given your information, there is a website also, and I'm sure after tonight we'll talk more about it. Thank you.
Yes, and there's a link to that on the Established Media Facebook page. If it's directly under this post that you're watching right now, on the Facebook page, you can hit that link and then let the city know what you want.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're here for.
That's what we want, this information. So there's a transportation master plan starting as part of the strategic planning last night at council. There'll also be a Parks and Rec master plan that will be coming forward to us in the next short period of time. And we'll be asking you for your input on that too. We're already looking at, of the growth piece. And so we're already doing the construction side, and we get good communication for it. So yeah, okay. Those are the ones that we know about already, and we have to do as part of the planning on the Watson report and the population growth of our community.
All right. Any more details from a strategic plan that was discussed last night?
Yeah, it's a really comprehensive plan. Now, this we did a strategic plan 5 years ago. We've accomplished almost everything on it. Right? There's some things in it that are still ongoing, but we've accomplished almost everything in it. Now, this plan, and last time we did a strategic plan, it kind of came to council and we said, here's some big things we'd like to talk about, and it kind of grew from there. This time in the run up to the strategic plan, we talked to the public. We had many public meetings that people could come to. We had meetings with our staff. We had meetings with the other groups in town that help us with things to collect, where do you think we should head? And so the plan was as much written by our staff and the departments, and then the department heads rolling that up, and then presented last night to council for us to say, now what else do we have that's big? Or are we okay with what each of the departments is suggesting we do over the next 2, 5, and 10 years, looking out as far as we can do as a council? So I'm really pleased. It is a comprehensive. There must be 250 things in this strategic plan. Now we'll visit it often to make sure they're getting done.
Now, this is the one that Sandra was very involved with before leaving?
Yes. Sandra started, and Michael's taken it and run with it. Michael Bradley, our new CEO. And so it's been well done. And I will give Taylor Mooney a great deal of credit for helping run this process through all of the different departments. And some of our department heads. I know that Kevin Dilibeck, our engineer, had a great deal to do with it too. Now, granted, if you're going to do a lot in your city, you better have your engineers thought as to whether that's possible or not, whether it's wastewater plants or roads. So proud of everybody. Right now, I'm not sure I could be, and it was discussed last night too, I'm not sure I could be much prouder. We continue to get some accolades from across the province about how well this council works together. That there's not been a downside to what we've been able to get accomplished. So we're doing it, right?
All right. We've got a question in from Doug Exner. Now I'm going to try and condense it a little bit because it's a fairly large one.
Right.
He'd like to see a study on how much CO2 and pollution in total has been created running many dozens of machinery, running all day for years from start to the finish, including all the building materials and future transportation of the new products made over the next 20 years versus all the farmland, trees, nature, and carbon captured in the soil over the past 200 years of it being farmed by my family and others in that area, and how it will probably cause way more pollution and CO2 than it will ever save.
I can't answer your question. This is products that's never been measured. Do we believe that having farmland in production is a great capture of CO2? Yes, it is. Of course, it is. Are having forests in production the same thing? Well, we'll replace trees that have been taken. However, we have to have jobs for people.
Yeah,
this is the piece that we're looking at. So it's really complex as to, you're going to use a whole lot of CO2 to make batteries that will save CO2. Absolutely, you're right. Nothing wrong with what you're saying. Absolutely right. It is, because construction methods today are still construction methods today, and we need to we need to continue to get better at them. Right. So our strategic plan is still to also look at climate emergency and what we're doing in our community in every case we can. But is it for us to never create another job in this community? Absolutely not. We're a growing community that needs actually to have employment.
Yeah, and there's always a transition as well when you go from one process to another process that takes a massive amount of energy.
Right.
So like I'm sure that the batteries produced now will not be the same batteries that are produced at that plant 10 years from now. They're going to get more efficient. But also, I think they're already able to recapture, what is it,
97%. Hold up our battery. Okay. Right? We've got our battery in front of us tonight. This is a sample of the battery that will be built there. And 97% of it is recyclable. So once the first ones are made, then the second ones can be made out of the first one. I mean, there's the ability to recycle the critical minerals that are part of it. Yeah. But whether you're talking about CO2 from construction of an industry or CO2 from construction of housing, I mean, we've got one of the best there is in our community at Net Zero Doug Terry.
has built like 80-90% of the net zero homes in Canada or something. Like it's
and so, but there's still we have to have housing. So are we to not build houses in order to save that we might create some CO2 while we're building those houses? Or do we keep looking for best practice after best practice and still provide housing for people? That's my role.
And and there will be negatives. Like it sucks that farmland had to be used. But is there another way? I'm not sure. I don't see one, considering the expenses that we're going to incur as a growing community and a community that needs another hospital. We need to have transportation, and we need to have.
So we need income sources, which means having new industries and stuff in our community too. So certainly the taxes paid by agriculture are significant to that farm in particular. But the taxes collected from industry in a community pay for, as you said, hospitals, roads.
Exponentially higher, and farming gets a tax break, which it should. Farmers shouldn't have to pay those rates because they're not getting those rates in terms of what they're producing. And we need to have local production of agriculture within Canada, within Ontario. It has to happen.
Well, and so I agree with you 100%. The question is absolutely accurate. Is there some parts of it that are carbon intense? Yes. Yes, there is. Yep. Is there some parts of just leaving farmland fallow or farmland production good for us? Absolutely. Yes. But I'm not saying the two are contrary.
No.
I mean, we can exist in a world where both of those things are true and we move our community forward.
And we're in a very lucky position where we have a lot of agricultural land in our area. So
productive agricultural land in our area.
Very,
yes. So exceptionally good.
And one of the other things we talked about is that working on the other areas and building housing in those, like the brown site areas within St. Thomas.
And the density that we can do.
But we couldn't build a plant like we're building out there within those areas that we have right now.
No, and nor can you build a 14-story factory very well. Right now, it still has to be a bit bigger than that or flatter than that. We'll continue to try and find ways to do all of these things. It's in our nature to try and do things better the next time.
Yeah. And Doug Exner says, I appreciate you answering my question. Absolutely. Like that's why we're here, because we can have these dialogues so we can come to a better solution.
Updates all about. Yeah. Thank you. And we'll keep talking that way. And it's the right way for us to look at it, is a collective thing. But I'll also defend any landowner anywhere having the ability to sell their property. Right. And if there's an opportunity for them to do so, we need to make that also available. So, sometimes that's the retirement plan.
With agriculture, many times that is the only retirement plan, because you're not making enough money to bank anything.
To continue to gather wealth. Your wealth is in your land or in your quota or in your animals. And so the equity needs to be captured at some point.
Brett Longfield says, amidst ever-increasing automation, how many jobs will last, for how long, and to what benefit relative to increasing cost of living?
Well, we know that the jobs we're trying to capture here in St. Thomas, and I've said it over and over here on Mayor's Update, and we'll repeat it again, are valuable jobs where you can earn enough money working at that factory to buy a home in the community you live in, and to keep kids from leaving our community and going someplace else to live. We'll just continue to do that. Hey, will automation continue to take jobs? Yeah. Absolutely right. That's what productivity is also about. But if we can gather to us here in St. Thomas the ability to look to the future generation of industry, because we now own it, right? Then we'll grow that way, and the revenue coming from those will help us do other things.
And the way we need to automate is to have the AI and automation do our laundry so that we can do the things that we love, unless you love doing laundry. But like as an artist, who
would have thought even 10 years ago that you and I could sit here in this office and talk into a computer and share all of the things we're doing in our community? We wouldn't have thought it was possible. Over the last 5 years, we've got very used to doing this, and it works well. But what will be next? Will my hologram show up in Brett's living room and tell him what I think of industry? I guess, right?
All right. We're going to get to a couple more questions, and then we have to wrap it up. All right. Beth Douglas is saying, what we as citizens can do to help is buy as much local produce as we can, support local farmers. Absolutely.
Clearly.
Couldn't agree more. Brett Longfield, what is the best form of housing St. Thomas is supporting for development in order to ensure the city grows sustainably? We've talked about that.
Yeah, we've got everything from high density apartments, tall apartments and high density, to medium density townhomes, and other housing that takes up less space, less square footage, and then even single family homes, because there are those people that's still what they want. We're okay with that, our community being all of those things.
Yep, and
you're going to see some modular homes soon too. Kind of almost all. If you're watching some of the apartment buildings that are being built in our community, some of them are coming as parts, right, to be built, so that they're actually being built in a higher quality factory situation. Again, I assume locally, because you're not trucking that stuff far, right? And we're going to do the same thing with some other modular kind of homes that way to keep tricking or trading off how fast can we do it?
You can construct it faster, and there's less chance of a weather event causing issues. Like if it rains when you're building, if that moisture gets into your house, that can cause serious issues.
And in very cold winter days, we're not putting up houses, right?
You better not be.
So we want to be able. I don't want to buy that house for
don't touch that house,
right? So we're looking at a lot of different other tricks to make this work really well year round. Build the housing we need to match the people that are coming to our community for the jobs that we're creating, and to live here, that want to be here.
Totally. And Doug Exner is saying, I personally think hydrogen technology is the future. There's one issue with hydrogen, and that is the amount of energy it takes to create the hydrogen. So a place like Iceland, they've got the thermal springs. They can produce a lot of hydrogen really quickly. Now, unless we're using nuclear power, it's very difficult to create the hydrogen and have a positive energy solution. Otherwise, it doesn't really balance out from what I've looked at. And this, granted, that was maybe 10 years ago. I was looking into the hydrogen side of things.
And the stuff we've seen recently has us moving from a hybrid model right now, which is an internal combustion engine and a battery-driven car, to a battery-driven car, an EV, with a hydrogen hybrid backup. But you're right. It's a very expensive process. It will come down. It will become cheaper. We're seeing now also very small nuclear reactors.
The
modular nuclear that Ontario's working on, so that isolated communities or isolated mines could use a small nuclear reactor instead of running miles and miles of electrical wire from the latest source. So lots of other ways to look at what the future looks like. Is it all here today? No, it's not all here today, which is why I think we'll see oil and gas for a little while longer, and we'll see electric vehicles for a little while after it.
And if we can use our reserves of fossil fuels to make that transition easier for us, that's the most intelligent way, in my opinion. Could be wrong, but I think that's the best way to do it. Brett Longfield says, when and how will council consider and implement universal basic income to account for rampant automation? I think that's a bigger question.
It's not our piece. Basic income would be a federal or provincial issue. We distribute Ontario Works and ODSP, but it is not ours to supply or to dictate.
And then Brett also asked, how are St. Thomas natives expected to compete for living accommodations amidst the ever-inflating cost of housing in St. Thomas? We've talked about that a couple times, Brett, with you before.
Some of these new jobs may be the way.
Or increasing the housing.
Well, we'll continue to work on housing for all, and we'll have geared to income and all of the things that go with that. But I keep saying, as each generation provides higher paying jobs, make sure you're in the line to get that. Are you doing skilled trades training and stuff to be able to take on the next level of income? Or are you just saying, oh, city owes me a house?
That's a great point. You've got to look at your plan in high school. Basically, and you have to start planning for your financial independence at that point. And if you don't, you end up like me, where you're a little bit more scattered, and you gotta pick up the pieces. But that's what being an artist is, and it's okay.
Well, it's okay, and we need need that too. We need a lot more of that. We talk about that a lot in our community. The arts and culture side of what we have to do. It's not all about working hard but some of it is. It's a mix.
Is. It's you got to find that.
We're going to provide. The president of PowerCo was sitting in here today saying, "Look, we're going to provide 3,300 jobs or more in that factory. They're all very good paying jobs, right? But we'll need to train people to take those jobs. Is anybody, are you on that path? Have you, if you don't have a high school education, have you got your GED so you're ready to go next to the skilled training part that comes with? It isn't, by the way, here's the door, walk in, get a job. It's prepare yourself for these higher paying jobs, which will help you cover your housing costs in a better and different way. And yes,
you've got to learn who you are as a person too. And like what you're going to be happy doing. That's a huge, knowing yourself. Like if I'd known myself better when I was in high school, I think I would have gone through for firefighting because I could have done the firefighting
and then have another job.
And then
don't tell my firefighter.
Be an artist on the side, like not on the side, but
you could do your artistic stuff, right?
Do the firefighting. Like I look at my friends who are firefighters, I'm like, I'm
the perfect job for what you now do. Yeah, because you would have some free time to do your love along with your work.
And I love helping people, so I think that would have been great too. Going into that, so
I agree.
Anyway, if you're thinking about this, figure out who you are, what you love to do, and then, like Joe's saying, transition to the highest paying section of that field,
absolutely,
so that you can afford these things.
Yeah,
and use the other things as stepping stones, because there are a lot of ways you can make connections and you can network, and then you can transition to a higher paying position within that field.
Absolutely,
once you're in there. So I think that's a part of the answer there. Brett, okay, we're running out of our time here. How will small scale nuclear reactors be implemented into the power grid in St. Thomas?
I don't know. That would be a provincial issue. Energy in the province is a provincial issue. We have worked well with Hydro One right now to get enough power to be able to run the city going forward for as far as our plan reaches. I'm meeting with Hydro One again next week about the next. Okay, because I'm not going to wait till the day we need it.
Right.
We're going to start talking 10 years out. Okay, how will we get the next line? What will we do next? What if we get an electric intense industry into our community, and how would we deal with it? So we're just talking about our future plans. Exactly. And some of it may very well be what we just said there, and whether it's small nuclear or other ways to generate electricity. I met with a battery storage unit people again today. Right, which draws power off the grid when there's excess power, and then dumps it back into the grid on days like we've just seen where it's very hot. So they're going to be great for us to have in town.
Absolutely, and you have a more sustainable energy grid. Yeah, because right now up north there's some fires happening, and it's on
Churchill
Falls is on a skeleton screw.
We've got to keep it running because it's a power source.
Yeah,
right. But boy, that's dangerous. So we've got to. As we're trying here now, is we've got to have a duality or duplication of almost everything we have. Do we have enough water? Yeah, it's duplicated. We can use it all.
That's a perfect segue into our next question from Robert Furno, one of the most amazing men.
Oh, no, I love him. Yeah.
Just fantastic. So Robert Furno, awesome. This question may or may not have been asked in the previous mayor's update, so my apologies. You know what? It hasn't. Right. And the question is, can you comment on the water supply security for the city?
Yeah, well, certainly because we're this close to Lake Erie and the pipeline comes a very short distance to our reservoir, that makes it fairly secure unless something was to happen to the pumping station at Erie. However, we're connected into a duality with the Huron pipeline feeding London too. So in fact, we could take water the other way if we ever needed to. I don't believe we take any right now from London. We're catching a part of Erie on the way to London, but it's a shared system, and there's even going to have to be some duplication of it as we grow. We have to keep saying, okay, we don't need it today, but if we're going to need it in 20 years, do we duplicate that pipeline? Do we make a dual pipeline? Part of it for St. Thomas, part of it to help London, or how do we do it? That's the conversation that has to keep taking place. Robert, what a great question, because water is a security piece for all of us, and we have to make sure we have it. And if we can have a secondary way to get water to St. Thomas, and we do, then we're in far better shape than most communities that are running off a well system, for example. So.
Now, I had a question come in. They asked me about it. Was in Central Elgin along Yarmouth Center. There's a bunch of work being done. And someone asked me if that was water related. Do you have any idea?
Could be. We have to take. We have a new pumping station. You did the Gorman piece at in Yarmouth Yards, and so it may be taking water from where it currently is over to that pumping station.
Very good. That was the question. I wasn't sure. All right, and Brett says, glad to continue supporting the query feed on Mayor's Update. Thanks, Brett.
Love it. Great. We hope to get that this news gets out. Honestly, folks, if you're watching Mayor's Update tonight, will you honestly share it also so that other people that are onto your feed can also see it too? Mm-hmm. We keep picking up brand new customers or brand new conversations on Mayor's Update, but we sure love to get it. We're 46, 47, 48, 49,000 people in St. Thomas all watch it.
It'd be incredible.
Week, right? So that I quit having to ask the same question, answer the same question over and over.
What's really cool about that though, Mayor, is that we're getting about 1,500 people that are watching organically.
Yeah.
And then I do some I'll push it, I'll do a little sponsoring. But we're having about 1,500 viewers that come around each week to watch us
talk about the things that are happening in our community. And so when it gets down to the end of and I remember going through the last election, somebody said, you guys just need to be more transparent. And I said, maybe get on the internet once a week and talk about all the things that are happening. And back then it was almost daily because of COVID.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, man. And they said, you don't do that. Yes, I do.
Live. Right. And then some people would be like, you're not actually live.
We answer questions look at the questions we answered tonight. Now, some more will come in and we'll be ready to answer them next week.
And unfortunately, we do have to shut it down because we're going to get in trouble with Rogers. So we're going to have to edit a bunch of this out already.
But boy, we got lots of good questions tonight. Thank you all.
Show.
Yeah.
Really great show.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to play out the outro here. Thanks for all our viewers. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to everybody who supports us. It's, it's great. Just a fantastic community. Thanks for joining us.